Welcome to Mountain Strong. Today I am in Eagle River and I'm on top of Mount Baldy. So Mount Baldy is a very popular hike in Eagle River, and Eagle River is a community about 30 minutes north of the city of Anchorage. And so definitely a place that's worth coming to. It is a very easy drive to come up here if you're visiting the city of Anchorage, or if you live in Wasilla, about 30 minutes north of here, easy to come down here. And a very accessible hike, although this time of year is not the best time to do it, I found. Even though it's a pretty straightforward hike, and I think during the summertime it would be pretty easy, at this time of year the ground has frozen except for that top little layer, which has become a mud slick. And I was really regretting having not brought my trekking poles today. But was able to make it to the top, and thankfully I did bring my spikes. I hope that those are going to be of some use to me going down and I don't wind up on my bottom too many times. But today we're going to be having a look together at Psalm number 114, and in addition to forgetting my trekking poles, I also forgot my Bible, but always thankful to have God's Word with me on my phone. Let's go ahead and read now. When Israel went out from Egypt, the house of Jacob from a people of strange language, Judah became his sanctuary, Israel his dominion. The sea looked and fled, Jordan turned back. The mountains skipped like rams, the hills like lambs. What ails you, O sea, that you flee? O Jordan, that you turn back? O mountains, that you skip like rams? O hills like lambs? Tremble, O earth, at the presence of the Lord, at the presence of the God of Jacob, who turns the rock into a pool of water, the flint into a spring of water. This psalm is one in a series of psalms that has been discussing praising the Lord, and you'll notice that any idea of praising the Lord is absent from Psalm 114, and a moment's reflection is given to the very special place that God's people have. Why is the place that God's people have so special? Well, it's special, as you can see from those first couple of verses, because Judah and Israel, God's people in the Old Testament, spiritual Israel, the church today, God has made these people throughout the ages. He has made these people His sanctuary and His dominion. And so that implies that He dwells among them, His sanctuary, and it implies that He is king over them, His dominion. What does it mean to have God using you as a sanctuary? And what does it mean to have God having you and owning you as His dominion? Well, it means that you're in a pretty special place as relates to the rest of the world. And the mighty forces of the world are nothing when compared to our God. As you think about this psalm, you see in poetic language God's mastery over His creation. You see the mightiest elements of creation, mountains and oceans, trembling and running away at His presence. And of course, these things would have been rooted in historical realities. When you think about the beginning of the psalm and talking about Israel going out of Egypt, it wasn't long until the seas literally parted for God's people, and that finds its way perhaps poetically in this psalm, as well as when they came then to the mountain of Sinai, and the mountain shook and trembled when God delivered His covenant, and so the mountains skipped and fled, as they are said to have done poetically here. But when I think about all of these obstacles being removed and think about how great my God is, it's not that specific detail that the psalmist hones in on as he's thinking about the special place of God's people today. When he thinks about the special place of God's people, for him it comes down to one simple reality illustrated by one historical fact. He says, "Tremble, O earth, at the presence of the Lord, at the presence of the God of Jacob, who turns the rock into a pool of water, the flint into a spring of water." And you remember those occasions where God literally provided for the needs of His people by causing water to come out of a rock. We've heard of people who try to take blood out of a stone. Well, it would be no easier to take blood out of a stone than it would be to take water out of a stone. Water doesn't come out of stones. It comes from beneath stones. Perhaps there is an aquifer beneath the stones, but not from solid rock. And yet God caused solid rock to turn into springing water for His people. And that tells me something amazing about my God and about having Him dwelling in me and having Him as my King. It tells me that He's going to provide for me. And thus, this psalm is not at all out of place in a line of psalms that's been talking about praising the Lord, because He's worthy to be praised, and He is great because of His providence, because of His care. And it doesn't matter what the obstacle is. If it takes water coming out of a stone, then He will do it. And all the more as I reflect upon my greatest need, my soul's need, and I reflect upon the rock that is Jesus Christ, and how that rock was smitten for me, and how living waters came forth out of Him and into my life. I'm so thankful to have Jesus as my King, to have Him as one who dwells in me, and I'm thankful to dwell in Him and to dwell in His kingdom. As we reflect upon this psalm and we think about the greatness of our God, again remember that you're in a special place if you are in the Church of Christ. You're in a special place because you have God dwelling in you and because you are in God's kingdom. And that comes with amazing benefits. God's providence, and a providence so great that any obstacle, be it mountain or ocean, will flee when it needs to. You will persevere, you will press forward, and God will bless you today and forever.